Hey.
Hello. We really are live this time. Okay.
Welcome to another Beyond the Sum of Our Parts. Thank you so much for everyone enjoying the show, following us, watching live today, and checking in on later on today or throughout the week. We have some lovely guests with us today. We got Victor,
Yay.
and we got Dakota, and we got Nim. And today we're doing a part 2 of what was the last topic, Jordan?
Non-Monogamy 101, myths and misunderstandings. Yes. So, with that said, we are going to lean right on in and starting off with Dakota and Nim, since you guys are new to this series, I would love to find out a little bit about your experience with non-monogamy and how you found yourself on this path.
Well, I kind of started with my first partner, but that was after we were growing distant. So not exactly the way I would recommend starting non-monogamy. But that was kind of how it started. We were growing distant, and I just wanted to see other people, and I thought that it would be a good time to introduce non-monogamy. But I learned pretty quickly that it was not, that we should have broken up. Uh, but then that kind of got me thinking about why I wanted to do that sort of thing or that different arrangement. Um, and I discovered that I'm kind of a codependent person, or at least I was. And so non-monogamy seemed like a good way to just kind of prioritize myself while still getting to engage with other people, but in a way that would, I don't know, make me less codependent.
Right.
For me, I kind of dabbled with it in my previous relationship. Um, Probably too unknowing of how it should be working to actually have a healthy non-monogamous relationship. But at the time that I met Nim, um, she was already polyamorous and non-monogamous, so I was coming into it again. Um, and at the time, I was just like, sure, I don't really care what you are. Like, I'm just out here to vibe. I'm just enjoying myself, and um, ended up just getting closer to her and um, kind of falling into it as well, and it's been good ever since.
Okay, thank you for sharing. So then would you guys consider yourself, I know there's lots of different labels that we kind of started talking about in the last episode. What would you guys categorize yourselves as?
We're each other's primary partners.
Okay.
And then well, we have other partners, but it's more like a casual arrangement, more like dating.
Yeah.
But I'm kind of dating someone, but I've actually really slowed down on dating other people.
Okay.
Yeah, it's we've not actually had, like when I met her, she had another partner. Um,
and he was my primary,
Yeah,
but then broke up. Yeah.
yeah. So we haven't actually had like multiple full relationships while we've been with each other. Um, so it's kind of hard to put a title on it because we
Yeah.
haven't really fully. We're open to it. It just hasn't. I mean, we're very busy people, so like the idea of having to juggle two whole relationships is not enticing to right now. At least for me. Um, so yeah, it's mostly just casual stuff on the side, and um, she's my main focus.
So then would you say you guys lean more towards like, because you talk about casual, would that be leaning more towards like swinging type things or not quite there?
Eh, I
I mean, we've had swinging type encounters, I guess.
yeah.
We've
Um,
dabbled in a lot, but
You know, right? You know, these things
but
happen.
yeah,
yeah.
I don't. There's such a big umbrella. I don't even know what all the
Yeah.
terms are, to be honest with you.
Yeah, there are a
So,
lot.
um,
That's what I was saying. I'm still like all about it. You know what I'm saying? Like the terms, the labels, and the groups, and all that. I'm just like,
So
yeah,
what?
maybe
like,
we should take this time to kind of weed through some of the terminology. Maybe that would be
Yes,
a
please,
good.
please. It's like going to the Harry Potter shop to get the wand, and it's so many wands out there. I know, like I'm just
That
like,
was
which
such
one?
a random analogy.
Yes, it was. Yes, it was. But the wand that fits you is the best wand. You know.
Okay. All right, we're all in Harry Potter. Okay, so start with the big umbrella term. So non-monogamy or ethical non-monogamy, because non-monogamy could include cheating as well. So let's talk about ethical non-monogamy terms, right? So ethical non-monogamy is the big umbrella term for any relationship structure where the people involved are allowed to have romantic or sexual intimate connections with multiple people with consent from their partner. That's the biggest, the ethical part, right? So then one of them is like polyamory, and that literally stands for multiple loves. And in this dynamic, this individual being would have multiple partners that they not only are intimate with physically, but they have an actual connection, they have an actual relationship. They're not just getting it and going, they're not just hanging out, they have a whole full relationship with multiple people, right? Does that make sense? And Victor, feel free to chime in.
Oh no, you're good. You're good. You rocking it. Keep going. I got you.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Right. So then the next type of underneath poly, I guess you would say, there is swinging, which is also where you are in a relationship dynamic and you may have a primary partner or not, but then you're going out and you're having intimate physical relationship with other people. But when it comes to swinging, there's not that much of a like a relationship. Usually it's less, how would I describe it? It's less, it's more casual, right? We're having casual sexual encounters. I like this person, they're cool, but we may not be going to the movies or dating or doing all the other things. We're just meeting up and having these casual sexual encounters.
They're called side pieces in the.
Not quite. A side piece. A side piece goes into more so cheating.
Right. That's why
So
I was like, that's kind of, yeah, okay.
right.
It's
So,
like a side piece is more into the cheating. I definitely agree with you there. It's just like the way it sounds to me. It just sounds like an approved side piece where you're just like, hey, we
but
kicking it, but we're not doing anything else.
so what happens is that it is my understanding, and I could be wrong. I don't have a dictionary in front of me. That one of the important things about swinging is that both partners are there.
Mhm.
The mainly both primary partners are there, and they're generally hooking up with like another couple,
Right.
right? Um, Swinging, to my knowledge, again, I'm not an authority. That doesn't involve just like a third or like an odd number. Swinging
Right.
generally
Usually it's a
involves
swap.
two couples, right?
Hmm.
Very, very much like a swap, or
mhm.
all four coming together. You
Right.
know,
Right.
but it is like you said. Generally, it is more the physical aspects of those things, and not the romantic aspect of it, which
Right.
is why you have the polyamory. If you want to do the like, oh, let's go out on dates and do the romantic thing, swinging.
Right.
Let's just go ahead and let's get real close. You know,
Right. So
I would
there's
say
not that
we're more
emotional attachment.
poly
Yeah.
because there is like more of an emotional involvement. We typically end up seeing like the same people over and over again.
Mhm.
Right.
Maybe it's not like full-fledged into like maybe like remembering birthdays, the other people in their lives' birthdays, maybe seeing their family, not to that extent, but like seeing
Right.
them
Excuse
multiple
me.
times, building a relationship, and yeah, that connection.
Right. Yeah, and I think and there's another aspect of it which is like open relationships, and that's a kind of in between space, I guess you would say. It's another umbrella term. So in an open relationship, you're dating other people individually, or maybe you're dating couples, whatever your dating dynamic is. But the biggest thing with that is that there isn't a one size fits all for open relationships. It could be anything, because like I said, much like non-monogamy, it's just an umbrella term for you're in a relationship and there are other people coming and going in whatever capacity they're coming and going in. And then in open relationships, there's also different dynamics. There's like hierarchical, where your nesting partner is your primary partner and then everybody else is like under them. Or there's egalitarian, where everybody is equal, everyone has equal say, equal share, you spend time with everybody equally. Like there's so many different dynamics that fall under open relationship. That also same thing applies with poly as well, the egalitarian or the hierarchical. And then there's solo poly, which is where you're not in a relationship with someone, you're just by yourself having polyamorous relationships with other people. And then I think those are the main. Relationship anarchy, where you just don't believe in any formal relationship structures. You're just out there loving everybody freely. Everything's open game.
That sounds like fun. This is a lot of. You guys are dropping a lot of knowledge on me right about now, and it's like going to the ice cream shop and they give you a little spoon and you just want to try every sample of it to
Mhm.
see which one tastes better. Like I'm feeling the rocky road a little bit. That's not my thing, but I'm feeling the rocky road a little bit.
You
And
and
then
the analogies today.
you know what I'm saying? But that's what it like. The umbrella term to me. That's what it's like. It's like okay, you got the poly. Not bad. It's not bad. And then you got the ethical non-monogamy. Okay. That to me is that strawberry cheesecake. I'm a little lactose intolerant, so I probably can't do
Oh my
that one.
gosh. Okay, we're refocusing. We're bringing it back.
Yeah.
Back in. So that, I think. Did I miss any? Because I'm sure there's all kinds of things now.
I think there's at least 10 of them. I think there's like a 10. I think I'm just assuming.
there's a lot of terms, and because this isn't a more quotey fingers traditional thing, the whole ethical non-monogamy can be very fluid. As such, some people use some terms interchangeably. Like I knew a person that would not call somebody their primary, but that would be like their anchor, right?
Yeah.
Because it's
Anchor
like
partner.
this
Yeah.
person grounds me and stuff like that. But when you use the term primary, it makes people feel like, okay, if you have a primary,
Hierarchy.
that means exactly, and they may not believe in the hierarchical. Like
Okay.
I am closer to a relationship anarchist where all I'm seeking is companionship,
Yeah.
right? Although it's nice to have a title to further explain it to people, but I understand that doesn't work for everybody, and I'm cool with that. If anything, though, I would be more of a solo poly player where I could have multiple different romantic, intimate relationships, but I don't want a nesting partner. I want to always be able to come home to my abode by myself and know that I always have that by myself place.
Right, like that safe
You know,
space. Yeah.
right.
Okay.
Some people prefer they like having, they like living with their partners, and that's fine. And then you have kitchen table poly Where, let's say, just to keep it simple, you have three people in a poly relationship all together, and all three of them live together. That would be considered kitchen table poly. So that's a thing too. So
Right. And then there's also, I don't know if there's a name for it or what the name is, but there's also polydynamic where you're dating other people, but your partner doesn't want to know about it. So you do whatever you want to do. Don't come home and tell me. Don't bring them home.
right.
Don't do all the things. So that's also another. So lots of different dynamics with lots of different names and all the things. It really is a mixed bowl of stuff.
Ice cream.
So, yes, a mixed shop of ice cream. Yes.
Baskin and Robbins. 30
Yes.
points. Yeah. But I mean, all of that does sound good. And just to basically, I'm gonna put it out there because I'm fully aware that while to some people who are watching the show, you're automatically worrying about all the ands, ifs, and buts. These people that are in these dynamics, they gauge their relationships based on what suits their own partner, and also testing for a good amount of people. They do
Right.
apply that before they do anything even further. So to answer anyone's question who's thinking about that, they do get they're adults and they're having a conversation about testing as well before they proceed to do anything with anyone else. So
Well, hopefully.
hopefully, but yeah,
Mhm.
they do. I for one do. So
Yes, that's the ethical part of it. But
yeah. I mean, so is that
So then, last episode we started talking about navigating jealousy and how it's a natural human emotion. And with you guys being a couple and kind of dabbling into it, I would love to hear how you guys navigate insecurity and jealousy in your relationship dynamic. Or is that something that comes up for y'all? Maybe y'all have mastered it. Y'all can give us some pointers.
Me personally, I haven't had that feeling yet. Um, I think part of it's just because, I mean, I've met a few of her different partners. Her ex, like, we're cool. Um, and like we've all hung out, um, just like game nights, whatever.
Mhm.
Um,
I pretty much invite all of my past partners to everything.
yeah, yeah. So like I haven't had the issue.
I've done
Um,
that.
They're my
I've done
friends.
that. Yeah,
All right,
we're
right,
just
right.
friends. Listen,
exactly.
we're friends. What we had in the past is in the past. Our relationship now is still good. We're friends. So, and I tell a lot of women that want to go into dating, and if they're not okay with that, then this can't go any further because at the end of the day, like I'm still cool with all of my exes.
Yeah.
Like, and like I even had a birthday party where all of them was there. So it was like even people I just slept with, they was all there, and it was just like it wasn't nothing funny or nothing like that. It's just like, yo, that's just me, bro. I like, you know what I mean? They
Yeah.
cool people, is why they can't enjoy it. But everybody and other people that knew, they was like, bro, you tripping, bro.
Like,
This is
this is
so
so
Yeah.
weird.
it's like this is weird. This is disrespectful. I was like, I get where you're coming from because that's your mentality and that's what you've been programmed to think and feel
Yeah.
about it. And while I'm not knocking you for it, but it works for me because at the end of the day, I'm not out here just being like, oh, I did this, I did that. I'm not bragging about. They're just genuinely cool, good people, and it doesn't mean I have to basically end a friendship with you because we're no longer in a relationship, whether it's
Right.
physical or non-physical or non-sexual in that nature. And so and people will always say, oh, what if your girl did that? I'm like, okay, she was with them, now she's no longer with them. That doesn't affect how me and her and our dynamic are. And I get, oh, you're not a real man. I'm like, well, that's your opinion.
But
You
that
know?
comes back to being
Mhm.
secure within yourself. If I'm secure with
Exactly.
myself and my position, I'm not worried about whoever you have in
Facts.
circulation because I know my worth, my value, my place, whatever. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Relationship dynamics change, bro. I mean, they don't have to end just because they change. Some do, some don't. Like I said, they just
Yeah.
change.
Right.
Hmm.
Right. So
Yeah. Like,
before we get back to jealousy, can you hear us?
I can. I'm
We can
hoping
hear you.
good. I'm hoping it stays up because it keeps trying to kick me out. And I'm trying not to have to jump on my laptop. My phone is a little more mobile.
Okay. Well, thank you for joining us again.
No problem.
So back to Dakota, what you were saying about, so you have not had any experience with jealousy, even though you have been around her past partners.
Yeah, not in this relationship. I've been jealous in previous relationships, but um, I think for me, it is just the communication between us is really
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
So I don't have to question if anything's happening or
Right.
what she's feeling or anything like that, because she'll just tell me. And I, there's not really much. I don't. I'm never second guessing what we are or what we're doing. So
Right.
Doesn't it feel good to have a
Yes.
partner where
it
you ain't
is.
got to second guess what they doing? Like if they just tell you something like, yo, I'm going to the store, you're like, she's going to the store. It's like, she going to the store just like that? It's like, yeah, because you
Yep.
can't walk out naked because that's illegal. So like, yeah, like, it just feels so good to have a partner that when they do the thing, you ain't got to second guess. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
That's literally what I tell everybody. I'm like, the best thing about this is like the communication and the fact that I don't gotta worry about
Yeah.
anything
Yeah, because
because
they're
Yeah.
gonna tell you about
we
it.
know.
Yeah,
Right.
You know.
and I know there's like no need for a hierarchy system, but you know that she provides a safe space and you provide a safe space for each other, and therefore that is an initial comfort zone to the both of you, whereas everybody else outside of what you guys got, they're in the whole, oh, I don't want to look stupid, I can't trust the person, I can't trust this, I don't know, they could be lying to me. And I always tell people when they say this, I'm like, if that's how you feel, why are you even with them? Because I can't let somebody else win.
Hmm. Communication is one of the biggest, like, one of the biggest struggles in most relationships, monogamous or non-monogamous, whatever. But when you have a healthy sense of communication, that is when you can truly build a secure attachment in a relationship. That is literally the foundation for secure attachment is healthy communication. And so that's one of the things
Absolutely.
I love about non-monogamy is that it's encouraged. Like, talk about all the things. Doesn't matter how
Yeah.
awkward
Yep.
they are. Doesn't matter how taboo. Talk about it. Right. What
And I
about you?
learned that like it kind of pushes you to like just the setup of the relationship pushes you to over communicate,
Right.
which isn't necessarily the case in monogamy. Like
Yeah.
I
Right.
didn't know that there are different reasons why I would be jealous, and I do get jealous. I'm a Scorpio, so and I can't even believe I work in like a poly dynamic, but I do. Um, but for me, jealousy kind of arises because I think like Dakota is such a great person and he's so amazing.
Mm.
So like there's something in me that just like wants to just keep him next to me forever.
Yeah.
And so that kind of rises up and like some feelings of like abandonment, but they never have to do with anything that he's done
Mhm.
ever.
Yeah.
um so then it's more of like a solo journey, like to
Yeah.
really um heal those parts of myself and like really
Mm.
look at those parts because
Yes.
I
That's
really
good.
do
That's good.
prioritize and love this dynamic. This dynamic works so well. Um, and I wouldn't want to not be poly.
Yeah. I think that's true for a lot of people. Poly really brings up relationships in general. I always tell people relationships are mirrors. And when you're in a poly dynamic and you have so many mirrors reflecting back at you, you cannot avoid seeing yourself and doing some kind of work because like you were talking about with the jealousy and the feelings of not wanting to lose him, those mirrors are going to come up, right? You
Absolutely.
just have to choose whether you want to look at them and work on them or keep going through the motions and having the same patterns come up over and over again, which is what most people do in most unhealthy relationship dynamics.
The
So,
relationships dynamics that I've seen and that I'm currently surrounded by is exactly that. It's just that
yeah.
everybody, like, there's some I'm like, okay, cool, and there's some I'm just like, yeah, I think y'all just need to call it quits. Oh, how can you say that? I'm like, bro, I'm just looking at it from the outside as a person
Yeah.
in. It's like you keeping up pretenses for I don't care, but I ain't got a dog in the fight, so I'm just letting you know it don't look like you love each other. Like,
It's because people feel like they don't have any other option. It's either we're in a
Hmm.
relationship or we have to be completely cut off. there is no happy medium. Like we were
Yeah.
talking about before, you can't be friends with your ex. That's socially unacceptable,
Right.
which is
Right.
mind blowing. Like, what do
Well,
you think people in divorce? That's like a poly relationship. Surprise. When you're divorced and
Mm.
you have kids, you're still doing it. You're co-parenting. You're doing all the things.
No, but you tell them otherwise. It's like, no, it's not. It's different. It's different. And it's like, okay.
I've kind of learned that like sometimes over time when you're with somebody, especially if you've let the relationship really sour, you've gotten to the point where you have so many triggers that you trigger each other
Yeah.
and you have these like embedded behaviors. It's almost like you're not in control of the dynamic anymore.
Ooh,
And so it's kind of
nice.
interesting to like try and like walk that back and change those behaviors so that
Yeah.
you can do something different. And I
Yeah.
think that's how people kind of get stuck.
That's a
Mhm.
great point. I never looked at it like that. That's really good at putting it out there like that. Because in reality, like she said, it's the triggers, and we're just constantly going back and forth, just nitpicking at each other, and it's like how I said before, we're comfortable in that dysfunctionality, and so
Mhm.
anything outside of that is foreign to us. It gives you, it's just like, teeth chattering, like too much sugar. You're just like, I don't want it, I don't want it, because you're so used to the toxicity.
Yeah, you know what to expect. This is normal.
Yeah.
I know that I'm gonna do this. You're gonna do this. We're gonna go. Then we're gonna come back, have wild makeup sex, and do it all over again in a couple months or a couple days or a couple, whatever. This is
Yeah.
our normal pattern. But like you
Yeah.
said, it takes both people wanting to walk those things back, and that's where most relationships fall apart because one person decides, "Hey, let's do something different," and the other person's like, "No, but why?"
Yeah.
This is working out fine. I like putting my hands on you. It makes me feel secure.
There's that communication and there's that trust factor because it's not only when you date people, there are, in my opinion, various levels of trust that you learn about a person. You can trust a person to do something, and then you also trust a person not to do something.
Hey.
And your history with a person, when you're with somebody on that level, you can see like, oh, if they say they're gonna come through, they're gonna come through. Or they could be that person like they always say they're gonna come through, they never gonna come through. So when they say I'm gonna change, I'm gonna come through, it's like, well, you've never done it in the past, so I don't believe you. You
Right.
don't trust them, and that's for all relationships.
Yeah.
Parental, romantic, work, all that
Mhm.
stuff.
Y'all are
So,
dropping the relationship gems tonight. All right.
Boom,
Yes.
boom, boom.
So then the next question that I have is in terms of like societal perceptions or expectations. And so like with non-monogamy, ethical non-monogamy, we're not going to, so anytime I say non-monogamy, I'm talking about ethically, not cheating. Okay.
right.
That disclaimer. So a lot of times it is met with judgment, especially because we live in a religious, I was going to say Christian, but it's really not a Christian country, but a religious country.
They like to believe they're Christian.
Yes, but we're gonna call it a religious country.
Right.
How do you navigate those social pressures and misconceptions? Like, do you tell people? Do you keep it to yourself? Like, how do you navigate that?
Personally, I tell people, I let people know up front. I let people know, like, hey, um, I'm not monogamous. And depending on the circle, I may let them know that I'm not heterosexual, I'm pansexual, I'm non monogamous. I'm not one of those people that I only date in my race or I only date outside my
Right.
race. I let all those things happen because at the end of the day, their opinions mean nothing.
Yeah.
Their opinions cannot dictate my relationship. It's very similar to like if I'm raising my child a particular way, I can hear what you got to say about how I'm raising my child, but at the end of the day, that's between me and my
Right.
child. You know, the same thing, with me being a child and, my mom and dad. So when it comes to those romantic things, then I can understand people like, oh, that's not right, or how do you do that, or how
Right.
they want to belittle it. Like, oh, you're not monogamous. Oh, you just want to be, this and the other. You just want to do that. It's like, see, you're not listening. You don't
Right.
even want to really know. You just want me to agree with you.
Yeah.
And when we get to that point, if you're not looking to like have a fruitful conversation or
Right.
at least a healthy debate, Because we can debate about it healthily, but if you just want to talk down and stuff, it don't matter.
No, they're
It
all
don't.
gonna talk down about it. They're all gonna make it out to them because it sounds good to them, because we're all been programmed and nobody wants to not take the red pill. Everybody wants to. They think they're taking the blue pill, but they're not. They're all taking the red pill, and they walk this life like, oh, I'm in the blue pill. No, your mind is still closed minded because
Mm,
you still wanna keep things of the past to the past,
the
and
status quo.
the
Yeah.
status quo. And it's like you say, when you tell people the truth, then they make it out to, oh, you just want to basically whore around. You're not mature, you're not ready, you're not a real man, and you're not this. And I get that a lot. They say to me, you're not a real man. I'm like,
Right.
I have no children, I'm 41. Oh, you just like playing the field. Really? Do I? Okay.
What you can do is you ask them, what makes a real man? What makes a real woman?
That
And
question right
like,
there.
so first off, where is the rubric? Where are the rules written down? Where's the reference material? Let me know. Also, who's keeping score? Like I know I got a credit score, and I know you get points for driving and stuff like
Right.
that. And I know I'm graded at work and school, but being a real man or a real woman or our relationship is a significant. Where
Yeah.
can I go ahead and get an appeal for that? Like, let me know,
Yeah.
please.
Right.
And like it's confusing to me that like the whole like, oh, you just trying to play the field, you're holding around. Okay, and if I am, what's that got to do with
Right.
you?
That was gonna be my next point. I'm like, what if you are?
Like,
What if you are playing the field? So what? Like, what's it to
I'm
you?
like
You know what I mean?
exactly like it's everybody goes through different stages of life, and if you keep that whole stage, the entire part of your life, that's up to you. If that's all you want to do, fine. If you want to just be in, I don't find that necessarily any worse or any better than someone who's habitually in monogamous relationships back to
Right.
back to back. Like
Bro,
just because
yes.
Right.
just because you're calling someone your boyfriend, your girlfriend, your partner, and then you break up with them 3 months later, and then you find another one in 2 weeks, and you call,
Three
like so
months later.
you're repeating the same cycle. It's no
Right.
different. Like
The
it's wild to me, honestly.
I guess being African, I recently found out that there are a lot more people open-minded to it, at least in my
Hmm.
family, because of polygamy. In
Yeah.
my culture, only the men did it, but
Yeah.
honestly, I feel like the women harbor some resentment. So it was a much easier conversation with like um, my aunts, and that was
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah, and like
okay.
I I personally haven't found like you always get the looks of like, oh, really? You're poly? Like, okay, yeah. But it's mostly just like questions of how's it work?
Mm.
How do you like it? Like, have you had issues? Blah blah. But I see stuff on on Facebook and stuff about people just adamantly against it, which doesn't.
Yeah.
I don't know where that comes from.
So
Cognitive
Like, I'm
dissonance. Cognitive
it,
dissonance.
What'd you
it,
say?
That's where
truly.
cognitive dissonance. That's where
Oh,
it comes
yeah.
Yeah.
from. People are stuck in their way. Like that's how they were conditioned. And anything different is gonna upset their demons.
Right.
that's
Yeah.
Well,
it.
and the
Eh,
strange thing is, even most people that I see or hear that are really in objection to it, their reference is the Bible, but non-monogamy
And
is in the Bible. Like it's a
Yeah.
biblical term. Like back in the day, priests had whole families and multiple wives and all the things, and it wasn't until the church decided that it wasn't financially feasible for them that changed. So like all the things that we see happening now is because the church decided, well, it's not in our best interest financially, so let's switch
Yep.
these things up. But
It is not in our best interest financially. Yep.
I think
so
some of it
it's
comes back to
just so strange.
like some of the stuff that we were talking about before is just like I personally believe that our society is almost built to destroy community
oh
Mm.
yeah.
and
yeah,
try to build up individualism.
Yep.
Um, so many different cultures are polygamous with the idea of, well, if you have the means to take care of multiple families, then you
Yes,
should
do
take
it.
care of multiple families.
Right.
Like, there's nothing wrong with providing for multiple people. Um, and in the same sense, for this is something I came around to once I got into this relationship, and was just the idea that we have this concept that one person should be your everything. Like one person
Yes.
should be
Ooh,
able to provide
Yes.
all that you need, all that you want,
Mm-hmm.
and that person, that one person exists out there, and you should not stop until you find that one person.
Yeah.
mm-mm.
Yes, they preach
And
that heavily.
it's not realistic, honestly,
Yeah.
because while there's 7 billion people on this earth, you're not going to meet all of them.
Yeah.
And
I better
we
live.
have, and we got friendships. We
Right.
have other relationships that you get different things from different people. You
Right.
don't talk to all your friends about the same things. You don't have to do the same things with all your friends.
Right.
Like, you can have different dynamics and still have love for other people without there being like this 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 backdrop of like, oh, well, they don't do XYZ for you. Okay,
Right.
well, I can find someone that does do XYZ for me, and I can still have this person that does ABC. Like,
This
Problem is
man
when
is
you find
speaking
that,
from my soul. This is
but
exactly what I be telling people. This is
but when
exactly
you
what I be
find
telling
somebody,
people.
but when you find somebody that does, you know, XYZ and not ABC, then the ABC's person a lot of the time start feeling inadequate. Like, oh, what do they have that I don't have? And it's like, nah, it's just, you know, different time, different energy, different effort, different availability, different
Yeah,
mindsets. You know what I mean?
yeah.
And so that's where I think a lot of that comes in when people start feeling inadequate, when they start feeling like, oh,
It,
you going to see
and
them because I don't have something, and it's like, nah, it's not that.
Right.
You know, maybe you were just unavailable. Maybe you was at work at that moment. Maybe you was, you know, all making money or something, watching the kids, or anything could be. Everybody got a life. You know what I mean? So
Right.
maybe it just
yeah,
wasn't time.
So
and
that
where they get into it though, I'm gonna chime in on this one. Then you can go, Vic. Where they get into it, and the tag on of what y'all saying though is that automatically it becomes attack on oneself, where they
right.
themselves start to attack themselves, and they create their own insecurities based off of everybody else that are around them, their friends and all that.
Mm.
Oh, they're doing this, and it's like, bro, it ain't even that. You good as you are. If you wasn't, I wouldn't have chose you. But you can't do this. I can't be with you. I can't basically expect you to be into football, into anime, into films, all of the things I'm into, and then basically be like, "Oh, you're my favorite person. You're all that." But then in reality, that is not the case. You know what I'm saying? It's like you like basketball. We break it down into simple terms. You like basketball or football, and then I'm gonna go chill with somebody who likes basketball because I like basketball too. But I still rock
Right.
with you because you got a dope soul. So it ain't nothing about, oh, you not good enough. You didn't meet my expectations. You're perfect as you are. But this other person likes basketball, and I like to talk about basketball. I really don't, but I'm just using that as an example. But you know what I'm saying? It's just like they go into that.
Well, there's that whole scarcity of love
Yeah,
because I feel like people don't think there's enough love to go around.
yeah, like it's a piece, like you taking off a piece of a pie, and it's not. Yeah, you realize that like it's infinite. Like, it's as much as someone's able to give. Some people give a lot, and some people don't have the capacity to give to everybody, and that's fine. But if someone thinks that they can, I don't know why you shouldn't be able to allow to be a part of that.
Victor, what were you gonna say? Nope. Victor, were you gonna say something earlier? Nope.
Well, I was gonna say
hey,
people.
Victor, can you hear us? Oh, I guess his thing went
Nope.
out.
Technically,
Okay. We're having technical difficulties with Victor.
What were you gonna say, Pat?
um, dang, I'm off it that bad. It'll come back. I'm sorry, I gotta rewind where my brain was.
That's okay. While you marinate on that, you said something, Dakota. Love really is limitless, And I think that's what a lot of people in relationship dynamics don't understand. They feel like you said, I only have so much love to give to people and I have to put it in this little box. But love, true love, is limitless. And we have been, as a people, or maybe humanity, we have been conditioned to believe that we have to compare ourselves. Everything is a competition. When you go into the workplace, especially as people of color, there can only be one. And if somebody else gets hired, we got to compete against that somebody else so we could be the best of. But that's not the reality of relationships. There is no competition. I am a unique individual, and what I bring to the world, no one else brings. And that is something that I recognize about myself. You are unique. You are unique. You. Each one of us is our own unique constitution, and what we contribute to relationships, to the world, to whatever, nobody else has to offer in the dynamic, in the package that we have to offer. But a lot of people don't recognize that, and it goes back to the insecurities and the jealousy thing. And so, like Mike was saying, or I can't remember who was saying it, but you get into a relationship and you start seeing somebody else, and then there's this feeling of, well, what if I'm not good enough? No, it's not even that. It's just that this person, it's like spices. You can have a drawer full of spices, and each one adds something different depending on what mood you're in, depending on what the goal is, what the intention is of what you're cooking. Like, each one of us is like our own little spicy spice blend, right?
Right.
And just the idea, I hate when people talk about wanting somebody to be their everything. That is one of those things that just irks the life out of me. I was in a relationship dynamic with somebody, and they invited me to go to a sports bar to watch a sports game with them. And I was like, no, thank you. And they got upset because I didn't want to go. And I was like, I don't drink and I don't watch sports. That is not my cup of tea. That's something that you would do with a guy friend. I'm okay with that. And then they were like, but you're not being supportive. I am being supportive. I'm telling you to go find some friends to go with you, and I'll be right here when you get back. That is not my lane, and I'm okay with that. But you're not supposed to tell me no. You're supposed to do everything with me. No, I'm not. I can't be your everything. That's exhausting, and I have no desire to do that. You need to go find some friends. And they were offended, and they were hurt, and all the things, but I was standing my ground. I was just like, no, this is not I'm not going to sacrifice myself so that you can sit in a sports bar and be happy while I sit and look at you. No, I'm not doing it. So, anyways, yes. Pat, did you remember what you were going to say? Oh, sorry.
Yeah, I did. I was going back to what you were saying about how, and it just flew away that fast.
You need to write it down.
But no, I do. But it was definitely going into what you were saying about how people have like their jealousies and everything in the relationship, and they feel like the inadequacies and everything like that. It goes back into that whole divide and conquer thing that we kind of briefly touched on a little bit. It just seems like the whole of society is kind of designed to kind of individualize everybody, like hyper individualism. And so I think that plays into why, some people might get jealous or some people might feel inadequate because it's hard to feel like if somebody isn't focused on me, or if somebody isn't giving me all their time and attention, or if somebody isn't my everything, like you were saying, if somebody isn't my everything, then they're nothing. You know what I mean? And I don't understand why, even monogamous relationships, just relationships in general, I don't understand why they're treated so wildly differently from friendships. You know what I mean? Everybody's like, I want to, even like monogamy-wise, people are like, I want to marry my best friend. But you don't want to make friends. You know what I mean? You want to meet somebody and fall in love and get swept off your feet and get the Cinderella shoe put on your foot and happily ever after, and it's been 90 days. You know what I mean? And it's like, and I think that also plays into it. You feel like if you don't get it done and get it in, somebody else will come along and steal your place. And it's like, I feel like a lot of that goes right into all that hyper individualism. You feel like it's me against the world. You feel like everybody is against you. You know what I mean? And so if somebody comes along and they like football and you don't like football, they're gonna steal my thunder. But it's like, if y'all were just friends, let's say me and Victor was just friends and we just both He liked football and I like basketball. We're not gonna suddenly, I don't like you no more. I
know, right?
I just don't want to watch basketball. And sometimes I might stick around and watch basketball, especially if I know it's they're gonna do some football highlights on ESPN coming up right after the
Right.
game or something like that. Yeah, we can. Let's compromise. You know what I mean? But
Right.
in a lot of relationships,
Sports supposed to have round balls, not that strange football space.
right?
What's wrong with you, bro? Like, come on, man.
Right.
So people have different capacities for different things, and it just that whole you got to be my everything. Like for me, that's always been hard for me to do, but also to really abide by, because if I'm just with the homies, me and my one homeboy bonded over the Simpsons reruns. You know what I mean? So that's what we gonna go to. And then me and my other homie bonded over music. And then me and my other homie
Right.
bonded over, smoking weed. You know what I mean? Like whatever the case may be. But I'm not gonna be like, oh yeah, I don't like you anymore because you don't smoke. You know what I mean? Like,
But I can only have one friend.
right. And you know what? That permeates into that whole best friend thing. Like before you even get to a relationship, you like, I got a bestie, and your bestie don't want you to have no other besties because now they gotta compete. It's like, well, you can't have more than one friend.
Yeah.
So, like, going back a bit, we were talking about how, having other people and filling other roles, and maybe somebody's unavailable or you don't need the one person to be your everything. Circling it back around to jealousy, especially in non-monogamous relationships, what I'm generally not a jealous person, right? If anything, first off, I'm a voyeur. I crave the happiness of other people, and I celebrate the victories of my partners. The only time jealousy arises in me when I'm in a relationship is when my needs and desires are not being met, but because somebody can be going through it and they just can't do that. But if you are taking what I need and desire and giving it to someone else,
Yes.
nah. If I'm like, I need to see you at least once a week, and you're like, yo, I can't see you every week. I can only see you once a month. But then I see you seeing somebody else once a week. I'm like, bro, like,
Right.
like we discussed this. Like, that's what I need. That's the only time my jealousy arises. But I try and avoid situations like that overall. But yeah, jealousy happens.
Yeah.
I gave Dakota like a full list of like everything that would trigger me.
Yeah.
I was like, I need to be primary. Time with me is prioritized. I will not bother you when you have your time with other people, but like if we plan something, don't override that. Like all these things. But yeah, jealousy is kind of interesting because it arises from so many different like places. And sometimes if you've never encountered a certain situation, it's easy to like get jealousy like triggered and it can blindside you.
Like I'm seeing someone currently, and one of their, I'm gonna say, requirements is like, yo, I gotta talk to you on the phone every day. Like at least for like 5 or 10 minutes. I need to talk to you every day. But if I go and visit them, that doesn't count as talking on the phone, which is fine. I understand that. But I got to talk to them every day. Now, if something happens and I can't talk to them one day, that's fine. Right? They understand that. But if I start slacking on that, like they hit me up yesterday, like, I got a bone to pick with you. I'm like, what's up with it? It was like, you ain't been talking to me every day. When's the last time you called me? And I was like, and you hesitated. That's how you know. I'm like, all right, cool. You know what? You're right. My bad. I slacked. Let me go ahead and rectify that. I apologize. You're right, because I'm not meeting the terms and agreements. Yeah.
And I think that's one of the beautiful things about being in a non-monogamous relationship is that it requires you to understand yourself. What do you need? What do you want? What do you like? What do you dislike? All the things that we don't usually focus on in monogamous relationships, because it's just like this person, we fit or we don't.
Right.
But in non-monogamy, this goes back to that communication piece. It is such a big deal. Like you said, Nim, about giving your whole list of triggers, right? Like communication is everything. Self-awareness is everything in these dynamics. Somebody was going to say something.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say that, and this goes right into what you're saying about self-awareness, and still staying on the jealousy topic. I'm jealous like by trade, by nature. You know what I mean? I'm a jealous person, but I realize it's more internal than anything. It's typically not because somebody is doing something to me directly. It's just because, like we were saying, that whole conditioning of if it's not me, what's wrong, you know what I mean? But
Right. The
because of
insecurity.
that, exactly. But because of that self-awareness and because I recognize that, I can realize that because I'm also big on fairness, you know what I mean,
Mm-hmm.
and equity in a relationship. So like, it wouldn't be fair to me to be like, okay, well, I can go talk to whoever I want to talk to,
Right.
and you can't. You know what I mean? Unless that's their choice and that's their dynamic, which I've had that happen before too. But it would really be unfair of me to really lock somebody down and be like, you can't talk to while I'm doing whatever I want to do, and they kind of just sitting around waiting on me to show back up. So um, I'm aware that I'm jealous, you know what I mean? But I'm also aware that it's not an external trigger; it's an internal trigger that I have to work on.
Yes.
And I've been working on it, and it gets, it gets better with time when you realize that, you just doing what's right, really. You know what I mean? You just got to be fair. You got to be fair. You got to be equitable. You got to be equal about it. You know what I mean? Give people opportunities to make their own choices while you make your own choices. Everybody's got to be honest. So
Autonomy.
the communication really helps. You know what I mean? But I do recognize that about myself, and I am working on that. So I feel like that goes right into the self-awareness thing.
Thank you. So in our last 10 minutes of time, I have one final question to kind of roll us out. So what are some key ingredients that you all have now that you have, you've experienced monogamy, you've experienced non-monogamy? What are some key ingredients that you have for building healthy and fulfilling relationships, period? Anybody can start. No pressure.
I'll say that. Go ahead, Victor.
I'm going to say the main things that you need to be able to have open and honest communication, which does include vulnerability. That is important. You also need to have trust. You're not going to be able to trust somebody without that. You will also need compromise. And part of compromising is like you understand that you're not winning or losing and you're not tit for tat. It's like, yo, this is compromise. And don't say you're going to compromise and say, yeah, it's cool for that to happen and then complain the entire way. I mean, don't that's not how compromise works. Let's not do that. So I think those are the three main ingredients. As far as that's what works for me.
Thank you. All right, Mike, did you want to?
Now, Victor said I was going to say communicating effectively. It's all going to boil down to communicating effectively, and we need to put our feelings aside, and not only put our feelings aside, but then ask ourselves, why do these things trigger us? Why do these things affect us the way they do when it comes to jealousy, when it comes to possessiveness, when it comes to this is my toy and I don't want nobody else to have it? Why is it? Why are we feeling this way, and where is it coming from? And once we dig deep within ourselves as to the root of where that's coming from, because individuals are not going to bring this out of us, we're bringing that ourselves, and we need to ask ourselves, why are we feeling this way? Because again, like we've all come to an agreement, this is programming that we have to unprogram and unlearn what we've been taught to be for 20, 30, 40, 50 years, over and over again, from storytelling like Cinderella, Princess Bride, putting all of those stories is like one person has to be your all. And when they don't meet it, it's when I'm not able to meet it, I shouldn't feel attacked. I shouldn't feel some type of way. That's just, I'm not Superman. And even Superman isn't that perfect. Even Green Lantern isn't that perfect. No supervillain, superhero is perfect. And this is why they have a team.
Thank
the Avengers.
All right. Anybody else want to chime in?
I would say, so like for me, I would say that the two big things is honesty, and really first, this is what I live by. First, you have to be honest with yourself and what you want, what you desire, what you require. You know what I mean? All those things. You really got to be honest with yourself and look at yourself and say, like, what do I want? What do I need? You know what I mean? What am I getting out of this? What am I giving out of this? You know what I mean? So but you got to be honest with yourself first, and then you got to be honest with the parties involved. I think that's really, trust is built in honesty. You can tell people, what's going on, when, where, why, and how, respectfully. that really cuts down on a lot of the doubt, on a lot of the second guessing, on a lot of the insecurities. You know what I mean? When it's like, I know, you know, he might be with another woman and he gonna tell me, instead of just being, oh no, I'm shooting dice in the studio 4 o'clock in the morning type, like, you know what it
Right.
is. And so, right, so then they can trust when you say, I'm not with somebody, I'm hanging out with the boys. Okay, because if he was with somebody, he would just tell, you know what I mean? So I feel like
Right.
that. And then the second thing, besides honesty, I feel like is directness. I'm a direct person. I like you to just tell it to me. If you don't like me, tell me you don't like me. If you think I'm fine, tell me I'm fine. You know what I mean? Like, whatever the case may be, like, just hit me with it. Like, it ain't no, well, we need to talk, or I need to tell you something. Like, nah, just pop up and look,
Beat
you
around the
ugly.
bush.
You know what I mean? Like, whatever the case may be. So, you know, whatever the case may be, like, I like it in my face, you know, just like, bam. Like, it might be uncomfortable, because it's uncomfortable for me to tell the truth to somebody. You know, does this make me look fat? I mean, you know, I like fat personally, but if you're concerned about it, you know what I mean, then let's take some steps to kind of maybe work on that, if that's really a big concern of yours. And a lot of people don't like that, but I feel like that's how you get to the real, get to the meat of it. Now you know that, hey, I like you if you fat. Put something else on fat. Fat to death, motorboat. You know what I mean? Like, you know, but that's where I'm at. So where are you at? And then where we gonna meet in the middle and figure out how to, you know, how to make this work. So those are the two things for me: honesty and directness.
Thank you.
Everybody said such good things. So I'll just add like a subcategory of communication, which I would say would be self-trust. As a person who's been gaslit by so many people, it's hard sometimes to even communicate, because I know, like, well, in my past, it's just been a fight. It's been a fight for my perspective. And so just being able to trust that how I am feeling is the way I'm feeling, and that I need to say something before it gets out of hand and I feel like my back is against the wall. But yeah, self-trust.
And I would say remain flexible. Um, we said it before, like, you know, relationship dynamics change. Um, and going off what everybody else said, being honest and open about and direct about, like, hey, you know, I'm feeling this type of way. I haven't been feeling, you know, I haven't been feeling X. You know, I think we need to switch something up. Whether that's like, oh, let's go out more, or we need to stay in more, or we need to go on vacation, or just being spontaneous and doing something that y'all haven't done before. Um, and even like, I'm very big on, like, I don't have bad relationships with any people that I've ever, like, any of my exes or anyone that I've ever been with, um, because I like them as a person. That's why I was with them at a certain time. So, um, like, just keeping a healthy relationship in general, sometimes you just need that flexibility to be like, yeah, I don't think this is suiting me anymore. Um, like, we can try to make arrangements to, like, try to make it work if you want to, but maybe this is how far, it's like, this is the end of the rope. Like, um, and that's fine. Like, people go through stages. Sometimes you're just a part of a certain stage. Um, but if you're trying to keep it, you know, keep everything healthy and keep everything cordial and connected, like that flexibility of, you know, hey, I'm bending a lot. I'm not trying to break here, so we might as well just end it as it is. Um, yeah, that's what I would say.
Thank you all for sharing such wonderful relationship wisdom on this episode. And I think the last two things I'm going to throw in there, you know, Nim was talking about feelings and really respecting your feelings, or being mindful of them. And the thing that I want to tag on to that is, feelings are indicators. You shouldn't live your life based on them, but when they show up, it's telling you that something in your life is out of alignment. Something needs your attention, right? It's not just like, I'm feeling the feelings, I'm just going to spew it everywhere. No, like, that's your time to stop and go inward. Okay, what is it that is causing this experience? Why am I feeling triggered? Why am I feeling whatever it is that I'm feeling? And what do I need to do to be my best version of myself based on these feelings? Or, help my relationship to be the best version of itself, or whatever the feelings are indicating, right? So that's one thing. And then the last thing is love isn't sacrifice. Like, that is one of my favorite things to tell people, because so often we feel like we need to sacrifice this and sacrifice that. But when you sacrifice, you are losing a part of yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You are literally giving away a part of yourself. Something is being lost, and love is limitless. There is nothing that should be lost in love, right? Love is all about connection. Love is about communication. Love is about compromise. So when you find yourself sacrificing, that's that time to step back and be like, okay, what's happening here? Something, again, like the feelings, something is out of alignment. So with that being said, that brings us to the end of another fantastic episode. Thank you all for coming on and chit-chatting with us. I really, truly appreciated this conversation. And remember, as always, our goal is not to dictate conclusions. We're not trying to tell you what to think, what to feel, what to do, none of those things, but to encourage self-reflection and open, honest communication. I don't know how many times the word communication came up in this conversation, because that's how important it is, right? To help us to better understand the world around us. What did you say? Oh, okay. To help us better understand the world around us, but most importantly, ourselves. So we invite you to keep the conversation going. If you have any questions or comments for any of these lovely people, please leave them in the comments, and we will come back and we can set up a time to talk about all the things. Like, share, subscribe. I can't say that enough, how much it supports us, so you never miss an episode. And if you're feeling generous, feel free to leave a comment on the Apple and the Spotify and all the podcasting platforms that are out there. And like I said, head over to comments, share your thoughts on the topic. We love to hear your stories. We love to hear your perspective. And if you have ideas for future topics, we love to hear those too. Thank you for leaning in with us for this hour and going beyond the sum of our parts. Until next time.
Wait. One other thing. When we say subscribe, you don't have to pay for a subscription. You just gotta follow, okay? It's not coming out your pocket. Subscribe doesn't mean come out your pocket, okay?
Oh, but feel free to donate also. I don't know where we would donate to, but if you're interested in donating,
there's that part. But subscribe does not mean you get a monthly membership or subscription with us. That's not the thing. We're not charging. That just means follow on YouTube.
On the YouTube, yes. Become a subscriber.
Yes. Please do. Mm-hmm.
Any other input? Thank you. That was relevant.
Yeah. No, nothing else.
No, you good?
Yeah.
Anybody else got anything before we chime out? No.
On
that note, like I said, until next time. Bye.
Bijou do. Salud.